Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. On today's video, we are checking out the Electric Dragon from Airis Effects. I've previously featured their Savage Drive pedal on here. This is a slightly different concept. The first thing that I love about it is the GTA font and the fact that this version is purple. It actually comes in multiple colors. Just kind of cool. You know, aesthetics are not unimportant to us guitar players. And every time I look at this thing, I think of Vice City. And is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Basically, you've got a Tube Screamer style circuit on here, which has a couple little mods made to it inspired by the Klon. And the other side is based on the TC Electronic integrated preamp, you know, as made famous by Meshuggah. This is one of the most popular boost styles if you are using extended range guitars. So we're going to hear this on a 7-string. We'll hear it on a guitar in drop C, and we'll also hear it as a kind of more traditional overdrive pedal and EQ pedal with a cleaner sound on a Strat. There's timestamps for all of that. Shout out to Airis Effects for sending this pedal out to me to demo. Let's start with a quick little clip in a mix. So that's a pretty savage combination on there. You can hear that the Screamer side kind of does Tube Screamer things in there. It just gives everything a lift. It also kind of smooths out the high end a little bit. And then the integrated preamp side really accentuates the pick attack. It's kind of crazy how much control it gives you on there. And when you listen back and forth between that and the unboosted signal, you really kind of can't hear any definition on those palm muted chugs on there. With it on, they just absolutely scream out at you. So what I'm going to do now is I've got this PRS Mark Holcomb SE. I've got it in drop A. I'm using my Cherrytone Molecular. I've got it on one of the saturation settings on there. So basically on the Molecular, it's like a Cameron Atomica circuit. This is the one that drops the volume down the most, so there's quite a bit of gain already on there. I'm running it into my Marshall cab with a 1969 pre-roller greenback that I got recently. So, you know, not the most metal setup at the moment, but we're going to hear if we can kind of take this amp from like pretty cool to like absolutely chunky. So we'll just get started on the bridge pickup. You can see where everything is set. I'll start out with the Screamer side on the kind of classic Screamer settings with the volume all the way up, tone cranked, and the drive at 0. I'll maybe increase the gain a little bit because it is kind of cool to have a little bit of that soft clipping in there. And then we'll hear the integrated preamp side. So both together is ridiculous. You almost get a kind of HM2 style grind out of it. The integrated preamp side with the tight and the bite controls, you probably notice if you're familiar with the actual TC integrated preamp that you kind of have to turn down the bass control to get that tight response. So this control is actually wired backwards from that, which kind of makes more sense to me. It's like you want more tightness, meaning you want less bass, then you crank that up. And you can hear with this particular setup with a low A, don't be afraid to crank those controls all the way up to get the pick attack and tightness that you want out of it. And then the screamer side just kind of sounds like a good tube screamer. That's a good all-around boost that probably everybody needs in their setup if you're doing high gain, modern sounds. It's cleaning up the low end, it's smoothing out the top end. And like I said, both of them together, when you've got everything cranked up, there's so much of a gain boost in there, it just turns everything to mush. So you kind of have to back those levels off. What's interesting is we do the opposite with the tight control. You can kind of almost get like a fuzzy sound out of an amp like this. So let's do that. You got a bit of 80s rock territory in there, which obviously makes sense with a modded Marshall style amp on there. What is really cool about this is when you're using it together with an amp, if you crank both of these controls up, particularly the tight control, you can kind of compensate from your amp. So you might dial in the amp a little bit darker. I will bring the treble control down a bit, and I'm actually going to boost the mids up. Actually, no, I'm going to pull more mid-range out and boost the bass up on there. So I'll let you hear my starting point with this amp, and then I'll kick this in. So yes, it does chugga stuff really, really well, as you would expect. But I kind of look at this and I go, tube screamer with some clon DNA and then a very flexible EQ section. What's it going to sound like with something starting out with a kind of edge of breakup tone on a Strat and then layering these two? Let's hear it over a little backing track, and then I'll just kind of noodle around and give you an idea of the range of what these two circuits can do together. Now with that, I love the way that the integrated preamp sounds into that particular tone with this particular guitar. It's adding some really nice pick attack in there and some definition, but it's not making anything too flubby. I'll just sweep the controls in there so that you can kind of see where I ended up at with these two controls at about 2 o'clock each. Let's hear the bypass tone. And yeah, there's lots of delay on there, but when I play with that kind of sound, I use a lot of delay. So I figured I'd leave it in there. It's the same delay that was on the little track on there. That works so well. I think probably because there is so much headroom on there, you can still play really dynamically, and it is giving you more of what you like about your particular setup without any of the things you don't like. It's not really adding anything unpleasant. It's just enhancing what's already in there. That sounds amazing. That is one of my favorite kind of clean boost style things into that, dumbly touch sensitive side. Let's just have a listen to what we can do with the screamer side. This is going to be a little bit more predictable, but I'll just kind of sweep through the controls. And then of course, running them together is pretty awesome. I'll let you hear it without the pedal, then I'll bring in the screamer side, then the integrated preamp is like the big enhancer at the end. So yeah, this pedal combines two of the most popular boosts for modern high gain tones in one, but it's not just limited to doing that. As we heard with the Strat and the dumbly kind of tone, that integrated preamp is pretty amazing as a cleanish boost in front of something that is already cooking. I didn't really expect that, and that is kind of one of my favorite clean boost style tones in there. The screamer side sounds like a really high quality Tube Screamer clone. I'm not sure exactly what is lifted from the Klon style circuit, but it sounds good. Both of them together is totally over the top. And this is a type of circuit, the integrated preamp side anyway, that I don't really have in my collection. So I'm going to use this on upcoming videos whenever I'm demoing amps, because it's got its own thing going on. And I think for a lot of people out there, having a Tube Screamer style boost is just something you got to have when you're recording high gain guitar. And similarly, the integrated preamp has kind of become the modern standard for extended range stuff. So this pedal kind of makes sense. And this one's purple and it's got the GTA font. What more can I say about it? I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this pedal, or if you've tried any of the other Airis effects. If you want to support what I do here on the channel, there's some links to do that in the video description. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time.